What's up, everybody? So I know what you're thinking. That's quite a lot of mics. But today we are facing a snowstorm in the southeastern and western United States. So the weather isn't ripe for testing action cams and vlogging cams. So I figured we'd have a little bit of fun with some audio. So today we're going to be testing out the FIFINE Tank 6, which is what you're hearing right now, and comparing it to several other mics that I've obtained over the years, such as the Rode Video Mic Go 2, the FIFINE T668 here, the DJI Mic 2 and its lav mic, the DJI Mic 3, which doesn't have a lav mic input, and the Boya BY-M1s, which is a wired lav mic. Now, I'm going to leave all of the audio untouched, except I am going to normalize the audio to bring the levels up so you can get a good comparison, just in case one is a little bit louder than the other. I think that's pretty fair. So right now you're hearing the FIFINE Tank 6, which is an XLR and USB mic. I've got the XLR hooked up to the FIFINE SC3 Mixer, and it's currently on the FIFINE BS1 stand here. So let's get these other mics out of the shot so we can focus first on the Tank 6. So quick disclaimer, FIFINE did send me the Tank 6 as well as the BS1 stand and the SC3 Mixer that I'm using to run the XLR output to the SC3's preamps, and then do a line out 3.5 millimeter to the A6700, so it should give it a very good clean sound. But let's put that to the test as we do a mic check 1 2 1 2, mic check 1 2 1 2. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers as Sally sold seashells by the seashore. So I've seen a few other videos from some other creators saying that the Tank 6 is a little sensitive to plosives, especially when you've got it really close to your mouth. So let's reposition the mic and give that plosive test another run for the money. So this is about as close to the mic as I feel comfortable getting. So let's run that plosive test one more time. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, and let's check out semblance. Sally sold seashells by the seashore. So I personally prefer to have the mic at a 45-degree angle. I think it looks a whole lot better, especially the Tank 6 is just a good looking mic in and of itself. But there is something that you can do to help with those plosives. So this is a tip I picked up from Ricky Robinson with 2xR Media. I'll put his channel name down below. Highly recommend you check out his channel if you're into audio or you're looking for like a budget microphone. He's really experienced at this kind of stuff, and he's my audio guy, to be honest with you, if that means anything. But what I've done here is just added a pop filter. This is an extra large one. It's probably not quite the best sizing on this, but I'm going to put affiliate links to all of this audio equipment if you'd like to check out additional specs, or if you'd like to pick one up at no additional cost to you and also help the channel as well. And I'll also include a smaller version of this that might look a little bit better, but let's see if this helps with the plosives. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, and let's go ahead and do semblance. Sweet Sally sold seashells by the seashore. So let me know how this sounds. Be glad to answer any of your questions down in the comments as well. Anyway, let's move on to testing the next mic, the FIFINE K688. So now you're listening to the FIFINE K688, which FIFINE also sent to me earlier, but I actually use this in my own personal setup when my son and I are playing video games together. So he uses the FIFINE AM8 for his audio, and I use the FIFINE K688 for audio on my channel, and he actually edits his own videos and I upload them for him on his channel. We usually play Fortnite, so it's a lot of fun. So if you're wanting to use these mics in a similar type of setup, that's what works for us. So let's do an off-axis sibilance test and a plosive test. Let's start out with the plosives. Peter Parker picked a peck of pickled peppers while Sally sold seashells. Now right in front of my mouth. Peter Parker picked a peck of pickled peppers while Sally sold seashells by the seashore. I'm sure she was quite successful, but not quite as successful as this video will be if you up thumbs it, press that like button, smash it, or just gently tap it. Thanks, and let's continue on with the other mics. So what you're hearing right now is the Boya BY-M1s. So let's do a little bit of a plosive test and a sibilance test. I don't think that's going to be an issue for this particular mic, but I want to check and see how it sounds as well. So Peter Parker picked a peck of pickled peppers while Sally sold seashells by the seashore. I'm sure she was quite successful, as are you. By the way, guys, I'm going to put a bunch of chapters in here so you can skip around and go back and forth and let me know down in the comments which ones you thought sounded the best. So what you're hearing now is the DJI Mic 2 without the lav mic. So let's give the Mic 2s a little bit of a sound check. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Peter Parker picked a peck of pickled peppers while Sally sold seashells by the seashore. I'm sure she was nowhere near as successful as you. Now let's test out the lav mic in coordination with the Mic 2. Okay, now you're hearing the lav mic in coordination with the DJI Mic 2 transmitter and receiver on the Sony a6700. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Peter Parker picked a peck of pickled peppers while Sally sold seashells by the seashore. She was way more successful than you or I. So one of the advantages of the wireless mic system is that you're kind of free to do whatever with your hands without running the risk of knocking the mic over or just tapping on the mic. Also, it's not going to pick up any sound from the table or anything like that, but as you can probably tell right now, it just doesn't quite sound as good as the other mics. I think size matters a lot when it comes to microphones, and you just can't beat the sound of a dynamic mic in an untreated room like this. But maybe I'm wrong, so let's try out a few more mics. Let's try out the Mic 3s and see how those sound first. Okay, so this is what the DJI Mic 3s sound like connected with its receiver to the Sony a6700. How does this sound? Let's do a mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Peter Parker picked a peck of pickled peppers while Sally sold seashells by the seashore. She was quite successful. So compared to the Mic 2s, the form factor is just better with the Mic 3s. They don't pull your shirt down. It's just small. The clip allows you to rotate it. There's a lot of things that I like about the Mic 3. It's just easier to connect to different sources. I struggled for about 15 minutes remembering which color the LED needed to be in order to connect to the receiver versus to connect to other DJI cameras. The Mic 3s, I'm really glad I made that purchase. The Mic 2s are great. They sound great, but they're just a little bit tedious. Anyway, let's move on to the final test. I'm going to test the Rode Video Mic Go 2, which is a shotgun mic. Okay, last but not least, you're now hearing the Rode Video Mic Go 2, kind of at an angle. This kind of a shotgun mic, generally you would put this on top of your camera and hold it like Casey Neistat style. And I've used this similarly in many different vlogging scenarios. It has really great sound, so I'm kind of curious to see how this sounds. But actually in a talking head setup like this, it looks kind of odd. You've got to have a really long cable. As you can see, I don't really have a really long 3.5 millimeter cable here, but I'm sure it sounds pretty good. What you would normally do is get this out of the shot. A mic like this, of course, you'd probably want something different than this particular mic, but the concept is the same. It is a shotgun mic, but you would have that mic out of the shot, you would typically have a long, like, tripod kind of arm, and then an extension coming right above the shot, like right here, and then pointed down at your mouth. In an untreated room, I still don't think that's going to sound as good as a dynamic mic like the Tank 6 or even the K688. But yeah, this is how this sounds. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, while Sally sold seashells by the seashore. Let's do that with it right in front. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, while Sally sold seashells by the seashore. And let's kind of get an idea of how that would sound. I'm going to have to normalize this in post, but if this were like out of the shot here, let's see, it's in the shot, it's out of the shot. So maybe like if it were up here and you were hearing this, like I said, it's not going to sound good in an untreated room because it's maybe 2 feet from my mouth. But Sally sold seashells by the seashore, while Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. And that's about it for now. Let's end this on the Tank 6. All right, guys, so we're back on the Tank 6, and this is approximately how I would have it if I were actually doing another type of talking head, talking about a different product than the Tank 6 itself. I also noticed that I had the SC3 out of the shot. This is the gaming type mixer, although I don't think that there is another alternative that is maybe more professional looking. There seems to be a gap in the industry. So FIFINE, if you're listening to this, I encourage you guys to make something that you can take an XLR directly to a line out, something more sleek and, you know, less kind of gamey. I'm going to find this really fun to use in our gaming videos that my son and I do. So it works out for me. You have the ability to change the voice in several different things. You have male voice, female voice, and a robot voice, and some other custom things that you can do with this. You've got 48-volt phantom power. It's really cool, and I think during the holidays, this was on sale for like $39. So I may keep this for myself and probably am going to pick up another one for my son, but we're going to test this out also for a gaming setup. We may do that on his channel though. So anyway, guys, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments which one you thought sounded better. I'll answer any questions you have as well. And hopefully this ice storm passes and we'll be able to return you to your irregularly scheduled programming. See you soon.